And Taylor, what have you seen from Claire Maulding throughout the course of the season?
I've seen a lot of consistency from her. The way she's able to keep her composure and just deliver no matter what. She's been doing really well lately. The last time we saw her was against
First pitch is lined to third, and it is caught by Gibson for out number 1.
And that shows she's a pitcher that pitches to contact and is able to let her defense make the plays for her. And lately, this Eagles defense has been phenomenal.
Well, this is a University of Florida team that comes in ranked 10th in the nation. They come in at 25-4 on the year. FGCU 20-10 on the season, 14-8 here in Fort Myers. First pitch to Skylar Wallace is in for a strike, and it's 0-1.
Skylar Wallace, just an crazy, impressive player. Batting .480 on the season. That's just about one hit below 500. She's a senior, and she's just really one of the core leaders of this Gators team.
1-1 on Wallace as that one missed down low. Yeah, that .480 average is good for second in the SEC and 9th in the nation as she leads the conference with a .621 on-base percentage. Here's the 1-1 from Maulding. It's up high, and it's 2-1 on Wallace. Wallace, the NFCA Player of the Year and a first-team All-American selection last year. She was also the SEC Player of the Year in 2023. One of the top stars here of college softball. And the 2-1 from Maulding. Wallace with a drive into left field. That's well struck, sending Black back, and it's off the wall. Extra bases for Wallace, who loses her footing and slides into second, although I don't think that that's what she was trying to do. It's a sliding double for Wallace. That's the first hit for the Gators.
We did see Tim Walton giving her the go-around sign, and we've got a trainer coming out.
Erickson, the sophomore catcher, hitting .443 on the season, leading the team with 38 RBIs. First pitch on the way to Erickson, and she takes it up high for ball 1.
This is a really mixed lineup of underclassmen and then a few upperclassmen, but there's a good amount of freshmen and then the one sophomore in the lineup in Erickson. It really shows the great blend that Coach Tim Walton's able to have on his team and help promote them and move them up so they can grow throughout the season.
It's 2-0 now on Erickson, who is second in the SEC with 38 runs batted in, and that .443 average good for 5th in the conference. First baseman Ricks is in front of the bag, as is Gibson at third. The pitch is skied into right center field. Oakes, the center fielder, comes in and makes the catch for out number 2. Wallace remains at second. Yeah, this is a Gator team that's hitting .374 as an offense. That leads the SEC and is 4th in the nation, as they are really relentless 1 through 9, and essentially you have to be a .350 hitter or better to crack this lineup.
Absolutely, and that just shows the explosive offense that Florida is able to have and why they've run-ruled so many teams already in this season.
Here's Corby Otis as the first pitch. They snap down to second, and Wallace in safely. Strong throw from Peterson. It was right on the money, but Wallace just beat the tag. 1-0 on Otis, who's hitting .441 on the year. Third on the team with 35 runs scored and a .750 slugging percentage.
One of the biggest things Neely Peterson is tasked with behind the plate is to control that run game, especially with Skylar Wallace and Kendra Falby at the top of the lineup. And then even at the bottom of the lineup, Cassidy McClellan and Mia Williams have a lot of speed on them and just trying to make sure that they don't advance, and Peterson having to control that.
Plenty of speed up and down the Gators lineup. They are 6th in the nation in stolen bases as that one misses down low. It's 3-0 on Otis. Leading the SEC in steals. Yeah, this Gator team leads the conference in average doubles, slugging, on base percentage, stolen bases, and fielding percentage. They are just a great all-around team, as that'll be an intentional walk to Otis. A little bit of a pitch out there on the 3-0, deciding not to even battle back. That's the first walk issued by Maulding. That'll put runners on first and second. Katie Kistler digging in now, the senior right fielder for the Gators. Kistler hitting .396 on the year. 2 outs and 2 aboard here in the top of the first in Fort Myers. And Malding's first pitch is in there for a strike. It's 0-1 on Kistler.
It's pretty early to give up that intentional walk, but it does make the force over at third as well, so it's easier to get that out, especially with the speed of Skylar Wallace. And now
0-2 on Kistler.
And now an Otis who's on first. So just trying to make it easier to get out of this inning before any damage is done.
Malding trying to work around the 1-out double by Wallace. And the 0-2 on the way. It bounces in. It's 1-2. Both runners hold up. Nice block by Peterson. And the 1-2 from Malding is again low. It's 2-2. Kistler coming off a season in which she played all 60 games last year, making 51 starts for the Gators. Kistler one of 5 lefties in Tim Walton's starting 9. Here's the 2-2 from Malding. It is ripped to first and right into the glove of Ricks. 2 lineouts in the inning, as she's thrown a complete game 11 times out of those 14 starts. Rothrock leading the SEC with 89 1/3 innings of work as the first pitch to Oaks is fouled off, and it's 0-1. Also leading the team with 101 strikeouts on the year and a 116 batting average against.
I know so many pitchers across the country envy Keegan Rothrock, not only being this exceptional, but as a freshman, coming out and just doing amazing things.
Chopper to short. Skylar Wallace fires across to Ava Brown, and it's in time for the 6-3 putout to retire Oaks, and that's a standout play by Wallace on the defensive end with Oaks flying down the line. Again, this is a UF team that leads the nation in fielding percentage at .985. So they are as tight defensively as you will see from any group. Tiffany Meek, the sophomore shortstop, stepping in now for the Eagles. Infield in for Florida. Here's the first pitch to Meek, and it's fired right over the middle for a strike. It's 0-1.
Tiffany Meek, one of those phenomenal second basemen for the Eagles. We've only really seen her at second base. She was recruited as a shortstop, but one of those middle infield positions you can really play anywhere.
Meek with a fly ball into left field, and it hangs up for Otis for out number 2. That brings up Neely Peterson, who's third on the team, hitting .338 on the season, with the team leading 16 runs batted in. This a Eagle offense hitting .250 on the year. That is 7th in the Atlantic Sun. First pitch is cranked to left field, but way foul, and it's 0-1 on Peterson.
Neely Peterson, the unanimous ASUN catcher of the year in the preseason, looking to continue that into the regular season and get that accolade at the end of it. And she's really working her way to that, batting great, and then also just such an amazing catcher.
0-2 on Peterson after the foul. And Rothrock is a pitcher that you certainly won't get a lot of chances against throughout the course of the game. So if you're the Eagles, try to capitalize early and often if possible. Here's the 0-2 on the way. It is lined foul, out of play down the right field line.
You'll see Rothrock has a really low pitch count on average because she's able to get so many strikeouts, over 100 already halfway through the season. But then you also have this Eagles team on the other side. They constantly have double-digit pitch counts because they fight and they foul everything off that's even close to the zone until they put it in play.
Another 0-2 is a cue shot foul. It stays 0-2 on Peterson. FGCU coming off a 1-0 win over Queens. That happened back on Sunday. UF coming off a 10-0 win also on Sunday against Indiana. And another 0-2 on the way from Rothrock. And it is again shot foul from Peterson. Nice battle here as Neely really just tries to keep staying alive in this 0-2 count.
This is pitch number 9 so far by Rothrock, and she has not thrown a single ball in this entire inning so far. There's 2 strikes on Peterson and 2 away.
Hey, Rothrock, excellent command of the strike zone. 101 strikeouts on the year, just 28 walks. And another 0-2 on the way. This one misses outside. It's 1-2. Rothrock winds and fires the 1-2 pitch, misses outside again. It's 2-2 on Peterson. And Rothrock, who already has 2 no-hitters this season, they came 6 days apart, one against Long Beach State and another against Lafayette, both earlier this month. And the 2-2. Just high, a full count for Peterson, a near miss there by Rothrock.
At the end of the day, you just have to look at the dominance and the numbers by the Gators. Have 19 of their 25 wins this season have all been run rules. So only 6 even remotely close games, which is just unbelievable. And they're really going to be a threat as we get into conference play and closer to the postseason. And
how about this battle from Peterson, who fouled off a tough pitch in the top of the zone there from Rothrock. Another payoff on the way from Keegan, and the 3-2 is fouled off yet again. Nikki Gibson waiting on deck, hoping that Peterson can pass the baton and get past the minimum here in the first. And another payoff on the way from Rothrock. This one will stay in between the lines into shallow center field. Williams, the second baseman, is back. She makes the call and the catch, and the side is free. First pitch to Brown is up high, and it's 1-0. Ava was in the circle for the team's win on Sunday. She pitched all 5 innings, scattering 3 hits in the shutout victory while walking 2 and striking out 2 against Indiana. And the 0-1. Or make that 2-0, excuse me.
Being a two-way, especially in the world of softball, is not very common. I know it's not in baseball either, but you'll see it a bit more in baseball. So seeing Walsh not only play, or Brown not only play at the plate and in the circle, but also over at first is just insane to me. Especially since in the circle, Rothrock also does both.
Yeah, this is a Gators pitching staff that returned 0 innings from their rotation a year ago, and they're led by these 2 standout freshmen in the circle in Ava Brown and Keegan Rothrock. Brown with the leadoff walk here in the second, and that'll bring up Reagan Walsh. That's the second walk issued by Maulding. Walsh went 2 for 3 with 3 runs driven in the win on Sunday for the Gators. And the first pitch to her is up high. It gets past Peterson, and getting into second on the wild pitch is Ava Brown, another runner in scoring position for UF.
You'll see Neely Peterson immediately. The pitch took that weird bounce off the netting behind her, but just able to grab that turnaround and was ready to fire if need be.
Walsh hitting .365 on the year with a team leading 9 home runs. Not often you see that out of your 7-hitter in your lineup. That's just how deep this UF lineup is.
Having 9 home runs in your 74 at-bats is quite impressive, and Coach Diro's going to come out and talk to his pitcher and his infield.
Yeah, it started off as just a check with Peterson, and now Coach Diro's coming out to continue the conversation. Yeah, Diros, in his 22 years here at the head of the FGCU program, has 17 winning seasons and 9 years of 35 wins or more. So FGCU has long been established now as a dominant program here in the Atlantic Sun. But a tough SEC matchup here against the Gators. As Walsh digs back in, and we're ready to go. And the 1-0. is up high, 2-0 on Walsh. And the Gators have won 5 of the last 8 SEC championships. They're coming off a 38-22 season where they were the regional runners-up. Here's the 2-0 from Maulding. It's down and in. 3 balls and no strikes on Walsh.
38-22 is definitely a winning record, but for the Gators, that's a slow, off year for them. Only making it to the regionals. They're pretty consistently winning and going into the World Series, having a lot of appearances and at least making it past the first few rounds of the NCAA tournament.
Well, back-to-back walks from Maulding puts runners on first and second as Walsh draws the 4-pitch walk. 3 walks already for Claire Maulding, and that's definitely a sign of concern here if you're the Eagles, because with this Florida lineup, you can't give free passes. Eventually, it'll come back to bite you.
Absolutely. Mia Williams, if she's able to put this one in play or even load up the bases here, is a huge disadvantage and a huge danger with Cassidy McClellan hitting .409 coming up right after her.
Yeah, Mia Williams hitting .122 on the year, getting the start at second base. And the home plate umpire calling it a foul ball. Tim Walton disagreeing with the call. But it's 0-2 on Williams. Now Williams, one of 3 freshmen in this starting lineup. And now offensive timeout taken by Walton. And you wonder what he's going to try to put on here with an 0-2 count for Williams. Not really a great situation for her at the plate.
Not the greatest situation, but it's not the most high pressure. He's got runners on first and second, so that means 1 in scoring position in. It's an 0-2 count, but no outs so far. Just trying to see what he can do here with Williams and then keep some momentum going. Runners on. Trying to make sure they do everything they can to get him to score.
At Tim Walton, the 5-time SEC Coach of the Year. The 0-2 pitch is fouled straight back. It stays 0-2 on Williams. Walton, of course, guiding these Gators to national titles in 2014 and 2015. Also a assistant coach on the U.S. national team. And another 0-2 from Maulding. Just missed. A little bit down. It's 1-2 on Williams. This is a big turning point for Claire Maulding after a pair of walks to open this second inning. She needs to get some outs here at the bottom of the Gator lineup before we get back around to Kendra Falby in the leadoff spot.
The Eagles dugout audibly unhappy with that call. All of them thought that was a beautiful pitch and should be called for a strike.
Up high, it's 2-2. That's one where you miss by an inch on the first pitch and then you miss by a couple feet on the second try.
And you know what? That's just trying to do everything you can to get it in there and make sure they chase it, but not actually get a good piece of it.
And the 2-2 is popped up by the plate. Peterson gives it a look, and it's out of play and into the grandstands.
Neely Peterson being a 5th year, same with Riley Oakes over in center field, are really able to help tie this defense together. Oakes leading the outfielders, and then Peterson commanding that infield.
Yeah, another foul by Williams. She's proving to be a difficult out for Maulding, who was ahead 0-2, and now after a couple misses and a couple fouls, this is turning into a lengthy battle. Pleasant 80 degrees here on this Wednesday evening in Fort Myers. Sun is eventually setting behind home plate as Tim Walton comes in to talk things over with our home plate umpire. And it looks as though the Gators will be making a change with a pinch runner at second base for Ava Brown.
It's going to be number 1, Brooke Bernard, coming in, the junior utility player. I'm going to go ahead and be the pinch runner for for Ava Brown.
And the 2-2 is again fouled off. Yeah, rare that you would see that in the middle of a plate appearance as well. We've seen an offensive timeout taken. We've seen a pinch runner in the middle of this at bat. It's been far from conventional here for Mia Williams.
I think Tim Walton just going in to try and interrupt the groove that Claire Maulding is getting herself into in this inning.
And the 2-2 is fouled. No, they're going to say hit by pitch. It sounded like that hit the knob of the bat from in here. And here comes David Darrows to confirm that. It's tough to tell sitting behind the glass, but based on what we could hear from the crowd mic, that sounded a lot like a bat.
It did, and looking at that elbow guard that the first base coach is holding, it might have just come off there and taken a weird hit on it.
Oh, the hit by pitch loads the bases. The pinch runner Bernard at third. Walsh at second. Williams at first for Cassidy McClellan. The 9-hitter in the lineup, and the first pitch misses down low. 3 straight reaching for the Gators without a ball being put in play here in the second inning. And you go from 0-2 to 2-2 to a couple of fouls to a hit by pitch. Definitely a missed opportunity there for FGCU to get the first out of the inning. That one bounces in. It's 2-0 on McClellan. McClellan hitting .409 on the year, starting for the 6th time and appearing in her 20th game. And the 2-0 from Maulding is down low again. 3-0 on McClellan with nowhere to put her. Infield in for the Eagles. The 3-0 bounces in again, and that'll give the Gators the lead. It's a 1-0 game on the bases loaded walk to McClellan. Third walk of the inning issued by Maulding.
And it looks like with Coach Darrows walking out in his sheet of paper.
Walks for Hume. First pitch on the way to Falby from Hume is down low. It's 1-0, and it gets past Peterson, but a bad read at third as Walsh has to hold up there and had no chance to advance.
Kendra Falby, the Odessa, Florida native, just up by a few Eagles and where they hail from. Emily Sharella going to Steinbrenner, just a little jump away from Sun Lake High School where Falby went.
Here's the 1-0. It's in the air to left field. Black is under it. She makes the catch and fires in. A nice throw by Black. And the fly out is the first out of the inning. Falby now 0 for 2 in the game. And that's a nice job by Hume just to come in and get the first out. That has to be goal number 1 there with the bases loaded and nobody out. And now let's see if she can keep it going against Skylar Wallace, who doubled the other way her first time up. Tough customer here in Wallace, hitting .480 on the year. That was her 9th double of the season back in the first inning. That leads the team. It's 1-0 as the first pitch from Hume misses down low. Eagles trying to avoid a crooked number here in the top of the second. Wallace takes one down the middle. It's 1-1 on the standout senior shortstop.
If the Eagles are able to get through this inning and get out of this jam, just holding the Gators to 1, maybe 2 runs, that's a really good look for them and able to come back and face off against Rothrock in the bottom of the second.
Check swing foul. It's 1-2 on Wallace, who last season set program records in average slugging percentage and on-base percentage. She hit .447 with a .595 on-base percentage and a .980 slugging percentage. All 3 program records, and right now she's on pace to possibly break some of those records this year. She's currently above those thresholds in average and on base for the season. Here's the 1-2. Wallace gives it a drive into right center field, and it is gone. A grand slam for Skylar Wallace. Her 7th home run of the season, and it is up 4 runs, all of them earned. First pitch missing away. It's 1-0 on Jocelyn Erickson. Erickson, the Gatorade Softball Player of the Year in Arizona in high school, transferred from Oklahoma, where she appeared in 57 games last year, making 32 starts. A season ago, hitting .337 with 7 home runs and 11 doubles. 5 runs on just 2 hits. Both of them have come off the bat of Skylar Wallace for the Gators. And it's 3-0 now on Erickson.
Erickson worked behind the plate and started behind the plate so many times last year as a freshman at Oklahoma. Now coming in and starting pretty much every game for the Gators. Just beyond impressive in her ability to watch these pitches and judge them in a way the catcher does, seeing the ball better as it comes across the plate, knowing what the umpire is going to call.
And with Erickson, it was about possibly getting more playing time. She started all 30 games this year after starting right around half of the games a season ago at Oklahoma. Here's the 3-1. It misses down low. Ball 4 to Erickson. That's the 4th walk of the inning issued by the Eagles. First walk here for Hume. And yeah, you think about how big it was to get that first out with Falby at the top of the lineup. The problem, though, is you have the best player on the team in Skylar Wallace on deck, and she goes ahead and makes the Eagles pay for all those walks early on here in the second. Here's Corby Otis, who walked her first time up, and she falls behind 0-1.
Skylar Wallace having the highest batting average on that team, just adding to it as this game goes on. But she's still not even one of the most dangerous hitters. Reagan Walsh in the 7-hole is leading the team in home runs with 9 already on the season. Just top to bottom, this Gators team is deadly to pitchers and defenses.
Otis, the 8th batter of the frame, transferred from Louisville last year. She was a ACC all-freshman team selection in 2022. That's up high. It's 2-1. She was a all-ACC first-team selection last year. Here, her first season in the SEC, she's second in the league in on-base percentage, a .602 clip for Otis, who leads the conference with 28 walks on the year. And the 2-1. Misses down low, 3-1 on Otis. Hume looking to battle back behind 3-1. The pitch just missed a hair outside. That's a walk for Otis. Second walk issued by Hume. That's 5 free passes this inning for FGCU pitching. Runners on first and second now with Erickson at second, Otis at first, and Katie Kistler at the plate. Kistler lined out to first base to end things last inning and is the 9th batter for UF here in the second.
I think it might just be the ASUN curse. Florida having played 4 other ASUN teams, having run ruled them all so far this season, even with FGCU leading in the lowest ERA in the conference and the highest amount of innings pitched, 208 innings of work, and only a 1.85 team ERA, just not able to hold up against these Gators so far.
Yeah, 2-0 on Kistler. Yeah, both these staffs leading their respective conference in ERA, with the Gators second in the nation and FGCU 13th in the nation in ERA, both sub-2 ERAs for these pitching staffs. (3-0 on Kistler now as that one missed down low from Hume. And this is an FGCU team that beat a ranked FSU team just a week or two ago. Now playing another ranked opponent. That one's in there for a strike. It's 3-1 on Katie. And the 3-1 from Hume is in the air to center field. Line drive, base hit for Kistler. Everybody goes station to station as Tim Walton puts up the stop sign and holds Erickson at third. Bases loaded again now for the Gators on the third hit of the game, and the first one by a Gator not named Skylar Wallace. So Kistler at first, Otis at second, Erickson at third. Here's Brooke Bernard, who came on as a pinch runner earlier this inning for Ava Brown, who had walked to start the frame. Bernard hitting .250 on the year, 17 games off the bench. 10th batter of the inning for UF. That one just misses down. It's 1-1 on Bernard. And you wondered if Ava Brown might re-enter to get the plate appearance, but they stick with Bernard.
With a 5-0 lead in the top of the second, and knowing how well-rounded your team is, the players on the field and those that don't start every game, you have trust in them and their ability to hit the ball and do what needs to be done. So Bernard being up at the plate right now, not a surprise. I would be even less surprised if we saw her go and play the field for a few innings.
Well, it's 1-2 on Bernard after the last foul. And the pitch from Hume is hit foul, and it stays 1-2. Yeah, 4 straight reaching after Hume got a fly out to the first batter she faced. A grand slam, a pair of walks, and a single to reload the bases for Florida. And the 1-2 from Hume misses high. It's 2-2.
Brooke Barnard, not just any junior. She's a transfer from Ole Miss and a Palm Beach Gardens native, so she's from the state, headed on over to Oxford, Mississippi, and decided to come back and play in her home state for the Florida Gators.
Here's the 2-2 from Hume. It's grounded to third, just foul, and out of the reach of Gibson. It stays 2-2. And the 2-2 from Hume missing high. A full count for Bernard with nowhere to put her. And for an Eagles staff that has a 1.78 ERA on the season, already 5 runs here through just an inning and a third. And the payoff on the way from Hume is popped up on the infield. Meek, the second baseman, is under it. She drops it, but an infield fly was called, so the batter is out. Bernard retired, and there's 2 outs here in the second.
Meek immediately looking up over at Emily Shirella, who comes in from right field, laughing, knowing that infield fly was called, so she's going to get the out, catch or not. So just has a little giggle out there, all smiles from Meek, and she's looking good to keep this inning going, try and get that third out.
Here's Reagan Walsh, who walked earlier in the frame and came around to score on the grand slam by Wallace. Walsh hitting .365 on the year, and the first pitch is in there for a strike. It's 0-1. Wallace, Erickson, Otis, Falby, and Walsh have started all 30 games for UF this season. And the 0-1 from Hume is popped up to third. Into foul territory is Gibson, and she makes the catch to retire the side as Hume works out in the calendar as Nikki Gibson is set to lead off here in the bottom of the second. 5 runs for UF in the top of the frame. FGCU now playing comeback as ball 1 misses down and in.
I ran into Coach Diros this morning walking around on campus, and he said this is perfect softball weather. It's sunny, a little breezy, and it's not too hot and definitely not too cold here in South Florida. So just a great day for some softball, and it seems like the fans agree.
Yeah, you really couldn't ask for a better spring day to be out at the ballpark. It's 2-0 here on Gibson. And the pitch is grounded to first. Bernard, who stayed in the game to play first base, makes the play. 3 unassisted to retire Gibson.
Eagles have been making some solid contact when they're at the plate, just trying to get something through a little bit of a gap and get some runners on here, give themselves a bit of momentum, and Megan Ricks going to try and do that for them here.
Ricks, the redshirt junior, digging in. And the first pitch to Ricks is a called strike. It's 0-1.
Megan Ricks at the plate. And right behind her on deck is Madison Carr, the designated player. So 2 really big bats for the Eagles due up here in the bottom of the second.
Ricks hitting .244 on the season. She's second on the team with 78 at-bats this year. And the 1-1 on the way from Rothrock. It misses down low. It's 2-1 on Ricks. Ricks leading the team with 6 doubles and a home run. And time called here by David Darros as he now just waves Ricks back to the plate. Gives her a thumbs up walking his way down the third base line.
Coach Darros having trust in the process that his offense has been going through. Had a really slow start, has been able to pick some things up and had a lot of multiple hit games and multiple hit wins in the last few weeks here in Southwest Florida, and today not able to get that so far, but going to be working hard to get there tonight.
Well, it's 3-1 now on Ricks. One of 5 lefties in this Eagle lineup. First 2 hitters, then Ricks and Black and Shirella at the bottom of the lineup for FGCU. Here's the 3-1 on the way from Rothrock. It misses down and out, and that's a walk for Ricks and the first base runner of the game for the Eagles.
Megan Ricks being a great base runner for the Eagles. 5 for 5 in stolen bases so far. Just really trying to see what she can do to help her team get on the board here. And Madison Carr going to try and do the same thing.
Rothrock winds and deals. First pitch on the way to Carr. It's a swing and a miss, and 0-1 on Carr. And not going to be much action on the base paths here for the Eagles today, as Jocelyn Erickson, the lefty behind the plate for the Gators, has caught 9 of 10 potential base stealers this season. So the MO on her is to not try to run. A rare lefty catcher in the squat behind the dish, and she is as good as they come at controlling the base paths and limiting the other team's ability to take that extra bag. And the 0-1 on the way to Carr. Carr cuts and misses again. It's 0-2.
You really see the same consistent swing out of Madison Carr. She spent the last year just being able to swing with her upper body, not able to use her legs, coming off that ACL surgery, 11 months.
And the 0-2 is fouled straight back. It stays 0-2. And for Erickson, she leads the SEC with those 9 caught base stealers, and it's not particularly close, that race. She is well out ahead of the pack.
Absolutely. The dominance behind the plate in Erickson is just so obvious. Starting at Oklahoma last year, about 32 times, I believe you said. Starting behind the plate there with Kenzie Hansen, a grad student now, being their go-to catcher. Getting that many starts when you're behind her as a freshman really shows how much skill she has.
Another 0-2 on the way from Rothrock, and it is shot foul. It stays 0-2 on Carr. Madison hitting .313 on the year. She's starting for just the 6th time this season, appearing in her 12th game. And another 0-2 from Keegan Rothrock is in the air to left field. Well struck. Otis back at the track, and she will make the catch for the second out. All the way back to first. Barely safe is Megan Ricks, as the Gators had a relay from the left field corner all the way to first base.
Great contact by Madison Carr, sent that really high. Just a foot or two more and it would have been gone. Able to get a really solid contact off Rothrock. Probably some of the best contact we're going to see from the Eagles tonight.
And that ball was well struck, and not a lot of that happens against Rothrock, so gave it a good ride. Nothing to show for it as Olivia Black digs in, a .298 hitter in her 24 games. She started 21 times. And yeah, it's tough to say you have to chip away down by 5, especially with someone like Keegan Rothrock in the circle. It's hard to chip away at any degree. And a big outfield shift here for the Gators, as this one is lined to left field. It gets down and beats the shift. Otis was essentially playing deep third base in shallow left field. Falby, the center fielder, was in left center field. It was a real odd outfield shift for the Gators, but yet Black finds a way to beat it with the first hit for the Eagles.
You see that a lot, that shift to kind of protect your defense from slappers. And it's not always about getting the out immediately, but just understanding and respecting the speed of those lefties, who a lot of the time are able to make it around the bases really well. Megan Ricks, not a slapper, but able to do it. Olivia Black, one of the fastest runners on this Eagles team, but that's not saying a lot considering Emily Shirella, who's batting ninth, and then Riley Oaks and Tiffany Meek also extremely fast. So it's a close race on base paths for them.
Here's Maria Angelino. Starting for the 9th time this year, she's hitting 125. Angelino has appeared in 17 games this year. She does have a triple and a home run. For the graduate shortstop, Angelino tries to call time, doesn't get it. The 1-0 on the way. It's a swing and miss. It's 1-1.
Maria Angelino transferred from Dartmouth, so this is her first season here as an Eagle. Was an academic all Ivy League player for the 3 years that she was there and able to play. So a really, really smart student, not just a great athlete, but really well-rounded, and we see that a lot in some athletes.
Well, yeah, to be all academic at the Ivy League level, got to be one of the sharper tools in the shed there. Here's the 1-2 on the way. It misses outside. It's 2-2 on Angelino. And if you're the Eagles, you don't want to be in a score now mindset that you have to, but you kind of have to here in the bottom of the second, trying to get back into it. That one is on the inside corner, a called strike 3 for FGCU. Hume came in and got all 3 outs last inning, but not before the Gators were able to capitalize on a few walks and score 5 times. Here's the 1-0 on the way. Misses down and in. It's 2-0 on Williams, who was hit by a pitch and came around to score last inning. Gators sending 11 batters to the plate in their half of the second. They did leave the bases loaded, so although FGCU gave up 5, it could have been a little worse there.
Mia Williams, coming from a very athletic family. Both of her parents, her father played basketball at UF and then went on to play for the Orlando Magic, and her mother played volleyball for the Gators as well. So coming in and stepping into this Gator student-athlete legacy, doing a great job so far getting the start as a freshman.
Here's the 3-0 from Hume, and it misses down low. A 4-pitch walk issued, and that is walk number 3 for Allie Hume. 7 walks already through 2+ innings for the FGCU staff. Here's Cassidy McClellan, who had a bases-loaded walk and later came around to score on the Skylar Wallace grand slam last inning. First pitch on the way to McClellan, who takes it for a strike. It's 0-1. McClellan 9 for 22 on the season, hitting just north of 400 in some limited action. The 0-1 is bunted foul. It's 0-2. Hume leans and fires the 0-2. It's a little bit high. 1 ball and 2 strikes on McClellan. And a big chance for a shutdown inning here for Allie Hume. Having inherited a tough situation entering the circle last inning, she gets a clean slate here as this one's in the air to left. Diving is Black for out number 1.
Really, really clean play. A great way to lay out there and get that catch. Not even wanting to worry about Williams over at first and her possibly tagging up to advance to second. Just getting that out. These outs are so scarce right now for the Eagles defense, trying to just leave these runners stranded and not let any runs score this inning.
And how about Olivia Black leaving her feet, full extension with the head first dive as she makes the out for number 1. Now back up to Kendra Falby as the snap to first is a little bit late. And Williams in safely. Falby 0 for 2 in the game. A line out to third and a fly out to left. She was the first batter that Hume faced last inning. So one time through the lineup for Hume, 3 walks and a pair of hits. This one chopped to short. They go to second for 1, and safe at second base is Williams. Fielder's choice, but nobody out. So now Williams at second, Falby at first, and there's 2 aboard for Skylar Wallace. And it looked really bang-bang there at second base as Angelino got it over to Meek, but must have just been a step behind Williams, who beats the play.
And that really shows the speed of Williams. That ball was hit hard. It was a smooth play, and nothing really went wrong. Her diving in there, just slightly beating it.
Skylar Wallace ahead 1-0. Wallace doubled the other way in the first, hit a grand slam in the second. And she's got 2 of the 3 Gator hits. And the 1-0 misses outside. 2-0 on Wallace. That home run that came last inning was her 7th of the season. So now 9 doubles, 3 triples, and 7 home runs for her. 19 extra base hits on the year for Wallace. Here's the 2-0. Up high, in and out of the glove of Peterson. And both runners advance on the pass ball. Williams to third, Falby to second.
It's really interesting to see the Gators having more runs than hits on the board, and that's all just about the timely hitting and being able to take advantage and maximize on those bases being loaded in that home run by Skylar Wallace. And now that intentional walk for Wallace after hitting that grand slam just to get the force out on those bases loaded.
Yeah, well, we saw that earlier on as well with back in the second inning where you get to a 3-0 count and they just decide to do a pitch out for ball 4 instead of trying to work a way back here. And now setting up the forces everywhere with the bases loaded for Jocelyn Erickson, who's 0 for 1 with a flyout and a walk her last time up. First pitch to Erickson is in there for strike 1. Now 8 walks issued by the Eagles through the first 2 1/3. And the Gators have yet to strike out in this game. Here's the 0-1. Popped up on the left side into shallow left. It'll actually hang up on the edge of the infield dirt for Angelino, who makes the catch for out number 2. Looked like that was going to carry a little bit more, and it just hung on for the infield dirt.
Yeah, we saw Olivia Black really sprinting all the way in to make sure that if Angelino couldn't get to that ball, she would be there, but that wind really did carry it just in a little bit more and kept it on that dirt line.
Here's Corby Otis. The junior left fielder has walked both of her trips to the plate, and she falls behind 0-1. Hume now trying to escape another bases-loaded jam. She inherited one, which led to the grand slam by Wallace, and then reloaded the bases last inning and escaped without further damage. Now here we are again with the bases loaded for the Gators. The 0-1 is on the inside corner. It's 0-2. Hume trying to keep this one within reach for the Eagles. And the 0-2 on the way to Otis. Misses a hair away. It's 1-2.
Allie Hume really wanting to get that one just slightly off that plate, painting just outside the zone. Neely Peterson worked really hard to try and frame that back in.
And the 1-2 on the way. It is hit foul. It stays 1-2 on Otis. And we've seen that quite a few times here from this Florida offense. Pitches up in the zone, especially with 2 strikes. They are attacking and just pulling them foul down the left field line. So got to beware of that if you're the Eagles. And another 1-2 from Hume. This one bounces in. Nice block by Peterson. It goes to 2-2 on Otis. And now the 2-2 on the way. Fly ball into right field. Shirella is there and makes the catch in fair territory as Allie Hume works out of a bases-loaded jam here in the third and keeps the Gators off the board. Through 2.5, it's still a 5-0 jam in the top of the third. First pitch on the way to Shirella, misses outside. It's 1-0.
Shirella making that play for out number 3. Such a huge out, left. All 3 runners on the bases stranded. They're loaded up, and Gators not able to get a run across the board back in the third inning.
2-0 on Shirella, who is starting for the 22nd time this season, hitting .111 on the year. Looking to try to start something here at the bottom of the lineup for the Eagles, who got 2 aboard last inning on a walk and a hit, but both left stranded by Rothrock. Here's the 2-0, misses outside, 3-0 on Shirella.
The matchup of Shirella and the rest of these Eagles runners, especially Riley Oaks and Tiffany Meek, who are due up. Some of the top base runners in the country, especially looking back on last year, being in the top, being number 12 in the nation, I believe, in stolen bases and stolen bases per game. Those averages super high, and they'll face off against Erickson.
And the 3-1 is slapped to Wallace, who boots it, and that'll be an error for Wallace and the leadoff runner reaching for the Eagles. Rare error committed by the Florida defense as a high hopper to short allows the leadoff runner to reach. Back around to the top of the lineup for Riley Oaks, who grounded out to Wallace her first time up. First pitch on the way to Oaks, who swings and misses. It's 0-1. And it is officially ruled an error on Wallace. Yeah, for a UF team that leads the nation in fielding percentage, a rare defensive miscue to start this inning. That one lined foul. It's 0-2 off the backstop. Yeah, again, we see that shift for the Florida outfield with Otis playing shallow left field near the line with Oaks at the plate and Falby essentially in left center field. Big opposite field shift for some of these Eagle lefties at the plate.
And the biggest thing about Riley Oaks is she's able to take a step back and swing away really well, just as good as she is a slapper. She's able to swing away. And if she's able to pull that down that first base line, she could do some real damage here for her team.
Oh, and she went around there, according to first base umpire. Down on strikes is Oaks, and that's the second strikeout for Rothrock. That brings up Tiffany Meek with 1 out and a runner at first. Outfield shift remains on for Meek, who lines one up the middle for a base hit. Holding up at second is Shirella. And that's the second hit of the game for the Eagles, who have 2 aboard for the second straight inning.
This is the 6th straight game that Tiffany Meek has been able to reach base. This game against the Gators was going to be her biggest challenge to keep that streak going, and now that she's done it, she's on a roll to keep performing so well for the Eagles.
Here's Neely Peterson, who popped up to second base her first time up. She's 0 for 1. Chance here to get the Eagles on the board. First pitch is grounded to third. Could be a double play, and all the way across from Walsh to Bernard. A 5-3 double play erases. So Lesky behind the plate. Paige Kistler at the plate for the Gators, and she's ahead 1-0. First pitch from Hume, missing down low. Kistler 1 for 2 in the game. She lined out her first time up and then singled up the middle in the second.
Having Lesky behind the plate not only gives Neely Peterson a rest, but also for the Eagles, it gives them a new look in the batter's box when they're trying to get some runs and at least some runners on the board for their offense.
And the 1-1 on the way from Hume. It's up high and 2-1 on Kistler. And the key here the rest of the way for the Eagles is just going to be avoiding the walks. There's been 8 runners left on base already for the Gators. They've had traffic in every inning, although they've scored in just one frame. All 5 runs coming in the second. This one's lined into center field, and it gets down in front of Oaks. It takes a high hop on her, and all the way to second, making the turn for third is Kistler, and she'll be in with a leadoff triple.
That was a really weird hop that took going into center field against Riley Oaks. She lets someone hop come in. It's at her chest, and it just takes a weird hop away from her glove.
And we'll see how that ends up being scored, if it's a triple for Kistler or a single and a 2-base error. And it will indeed be a triple. So Ava Brown is re-entering the game now for Brooke Bernard. So Brown back in here in the 4th. Bernard came on as a pinch runner in the second and took the plate appearance later in that frame for Brown. And now it's Brown back in. 0-1 the count after a called strike to start the plate appearance. Brown hitting .339 on the year with 5 home runs and 4 doubles. And the 0-1 is popped up on the infield. In foul territory, right around the bat, and it is dropped by Leske as she threw the face mask and was right next to the bat of Ava Brown, trying not to trip over it, and that might have caused her a little bit of a distraction as that one kicked off the heel of her glove.
You know, that's just an out. That's a missed opportunity for the Eagles. Really just needing every out that they can get, especially with a runner over on third, no force at home, and Ava Brown, a pretty strong hitter, but Reagan Walsh behind her, extremely strong.
Fouled right off the glass, which is pretty strong in its own right. We've had quite a few fouls right off of this backstop.
It doesn't matter how many come back here, you never fully get used to it.
Hume still ahead 0-2 on Brown, looking for the first out here in the 4th, and it's a looking strikeout. Brown down on strikes, and that's the first strikeout by Eagle pitching. 1 away now for Reagan Walsh, who walked and scored in the second and then popped up in foul territory as the final batter of that 11-batter frame. First pitch on the way to Walsh from Hume. And it's a called strike. It's 0-1.
Allie Hume seems to be getting into her groove really well, just delivering a lot of strikes, getting the looks, getting the swings and misses, just doing exactly what she needs to do.
Now 4 hits so far for the Gators. Both have come from Skylar Wallace and Katie Kistler, who are both 2 for 2, as this one is driven to left and playable for Black. A deep fly out. Tagging from third is Kistler, and it is a 6-0 Gator lead on the sac fly from Walsh. And Black not even attempting a throw at the plate there, just getting it into second base. She was in the warning track in left field. No chance to get Kistler at home. Here's Mia Williams, who was hit by a pitch and scored. She's also walked, reaching in both her plate appearances. Williams now bunts. It's a good bunt push towards the first base side. Hume can't glove it. She tried with the bare hand and ended up just kind of passing it off the ground almost to Ricks at first. And that should be a bunt single for Williams to put another runner aboard.
Williams just so chock full of speed that there's not much you can do about that besides try and make it as clean as possible. Even if it were cleaner, it probably wouldn't have gotten Williams in time.
Here's Cassidy McClellan at the plate now with 2 outs and a runner at first. 1 run already in for the Gators here in the 4th. First pitch to McClellan, misses up high. It's 1-0 on the freshman OP. A bases loaded walker, first time up, and a fly out to left in her second plate appearance. She's 0 for 1.
Eagles back into damage control mode. One run already crossing, a runner on.
Runner goes from first, the snap down to second, right on the money. The tag applied by Meek, but Williams in safely with the stolen base. Strong throw from Lesky, that was right there. And just beating it by a step was Mia Williams with the head first slide.
We've already seen the speed of Williams throughout this game so far. That's just solidifying it. It was a perfect throw by Lesky. She's just diving in and able to beat it just slightly.
3-0 now on McClellan with Kendra Falby waiting on deck in the top of the Gator lineup. And the Eagles would like to face her next inning. Looking to try to get the final out here, but behind 3-0 on McClellan. That one is in there for a strike. It's 3-1. Hume winds and fires. The 3-1 is swung on and missed. A full count now on McClellan from 3-0 to 3-2. Good job by Hume to battle back. And the payoff on the way from Hume is up and in for ball 4. As McClellan draws her second walk of the game. That's the 9th walk here for the Gator offense. 5th walk issued by Hume. And back around to the top of the lineup now for Kendra Falby, who is 0 for 3 with a line out, a fly out, and reaching on a fielder's choice. First pitch to Falby, misses up and away. It's 1-0. Falby hitting .434 on the year. Now eclipsing 100 at-bats on the season. Her 43 hits lead the team.
It's really interesting to see all of these players getting the starts, but Falby having almost 25 more at-bats than Skylar Wallace, showing that in every single instance, it doesn't seem like she's ever been pinch hit for. And she's had every single start just like Wallace, but about 25 at-bats different.
Yeah, a big part of that is the walks there. Falby walking just 6 times, Wallace with 28 free passes. Now that makes up most of the ground there for the difference in at-bats. Hume winds and fires the 2-1, and it's a called strike at the bottom of the zone. It's 2-2 on Falby.
Being a really good drop ball pitcher, you're able to deliver anything that's low and falls off the table a little bit to slappers really well, because as they cross it hasn't fully dropped off yet, so you're more likely to get that strike call right at the knees.
Falby now squaring around with 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch is lined into left center field. That'll get down. Williams in from second. She'll score. And Wallace is already 2 for 2 with a double, a grand slam, and a walk. She's reached all 3 times. Reigning SEC Player of the Year. First pitch to Wallace. Misses outside. It's 1-0. Yeah, David Darrows coming out to the circle and talking things over with Allie Hume. And definitely a good time to do that reset with Wallace at the plate. The 1-0 misses away again. It's 2-0, and I'm sure that's a big part of what they were talking about was we're going to work away on her this at-bat.
Absolutely. It's some sort of double outside pitch, so not just outside, slightly off the plate. It's fully into the other batter's box, trying to see if they can get Wallace to chase anything that ventures closer into the zone. But with the shift Sam Lesky has behind the plate, it doesn't seem like they have any intention of letting her get a piece of a ball.
And it's 3-0, and all 3 pitches were really dotted on top of each other as Humes hit the same spot 3 times in a row. And the pitch to Wallace. This one just misses a little away again, and a 4-pitch walk to Wallace. She reaches for the 4th time and walks for the 2nd time. 6 walks now for Allie Hume, And again, the bases are loaded for the Gators. Wallace at first, Falby at second, McClellan at third, and Jocelyn Erickson is the 8th batter of the inning for UF. Erickson 0 for 2 in the game, a fly out and a pop-up. She's walked as well, and that one misses away. It's 1-0. Erickson second on the team, hitting .443 on the year. And the team leader in RBIs with 38, second most in the SEC.
It's really hard to be Coach David Deros and their pitching coach who's calling these pitches, Courtney Radke, knowing that you can walk Skylar Wallace, but then you have their second best hitter right after her in Erickson, and you can intentionally walk her. You can intentionally walk this entire lineup, and you're still going to face someone who has such a big threat of doing damage to your team.
That one's grounded to first. Ricks has it and takes it to the bag herself. As the Gators leave the bases loaded here in the 4th, but tack on another 2 runs. And
both freshmen, both low ERAs, low opponent batting averages, and just able to shut things down no matter who they're facing.
First pitch from Brown, misses up high. It is 1-0 on Nikki Gibson leading off here in the 4th. That one is over the plate. It's 1-1 now. So we'd assume that Avery Gels taking over in Cassidy McClellan's spot in the lineup card as the OP, as she's now at first. And the 1-2 pitch is fouled off. Stays 1-2 here.
Gibson, one of the few out-of-state players on this FGCU roster, the Virginia native.
This one in the air to right center field, and it gets down in front of Shirella. Or excuse me, in front of Kistler, a leadoff base hit for Gibson.
Nikki Gibson getting on. Now just another base runner here for the Eagles with Megan Ricks and then Madison Carr up to the plate. This is only this team's second time around the lineup, so really on a pretty slow start, but trying to get around, get more looks and more swings.
And it's 0-1 here on Megan Ricks. Yeah, and if you're FGCU trailing by 7 here, the mercy rule is 8 after 5. So in the bottom of the 4th, you are running out of outs and running out of opportunities here. You want to try to close the gap a little bit so you can at least have a shot here at the later innings.
Yeah, the Eagles really only have one goal at this point, and it's to keep this game going. So that means trying to scratch a run or 2 off the plate and limit the damage that the Gators can do offensively.
Well, that one's grounded to short. Wallace turns the double play, 6-3 to erase the leadoff base hit for Gibson. And a bit of a rally killer there for FGCU after the leadoff knock. Second double play on the ground by FGCU. Both of them have come immediately after singles. So FGCU has had some chances here, but just keeps hitting into double plays turned by this Gator defense. First pitch to Madison Carr is grounded to Wallace again. She fires over to first, and it ends up being a 1-2-3 inning for Ava Brown, a leadoff knock, a double play turned, and another ground out to Wallace.
Gibson has now moved into the designated player spot after singling back in the bottom of the 4th. Coach Giro's trying to keep any momentum and any batters he has that have been making contact and getting on base. Only 3 hits on the game, so.
And the 1-1 from Hume misses outside. It's 2-1, and this is a big shutdown inning for FGCU, trailing by 7. If they give up any sort of run here in the top of the 5th, they'd be in must-score territory in the bottom of the 5th just to keep the game going. 5 runs in the 2nd, 2 in the 4th for the Gators. This one is hit well to left field, and it hangs up. for Black, who makes the catch for out number 1 on the liner.
At this point, the Eagles still just in whatever it takes mode, trying to get out of this inning as fast as possible, not let any more runs cross the board in fear of getting run ruled. 1 run will do it if the Eagles aren't able to put any up in the bottom of the 5th.
Katie Kistler at the plate. She's 2 for 3 with a single and a triple that came last inning. She's also scored a run. And the 0-1 from Hume. Kistler pulls around and pulls back, actually, excuse me there. It's 1-1. Here's the 1-1 from Hume. A little bit high, 2-1.
Honestly, Andrew, you cannot ignore these numbers being put up by Florida just on this season so far. I see 9 triples coming into this game, and then Katie Kistler putting 1 up, making it her 3rd triple of the season. All but 2 players on the starting roster have hit a home run, and multiple at that. Just phenomenal top to bottom lineup for the Gators.
And it's 2-2 here on Kistler as Hume looks for the shutout inning here in the 5th. And the 2-2 on the way. Hit sharply through the right side. A base hit for Kistler, her 3rd hit of the game. A pair of singles and a triple for the senior right fielder. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Ava Brown, who started the game at first base and then made her way into the circle last inning. Brown 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. She struck out her last time up, and that's the lone strikeout for Eagle pitching. First pitch to Brown is in there for strike 1. Brown, the standout freshman from Montgomery, Texas, and likely by the end of the year, it's going to be Rothrock and Brown up for a lot of major awards as this one is skied to deep center field, and making the catch is Oakes on the warning track for the 2nd out.
Eagles defense doing such a great job here. These outfielders putting in so much work, not letting these balls leave the yard or hit the ground without an diving attempt at least. Olivia Black making multiple attempts. Riley Oakes, you see a lot of them from her, hasn't gotten the chance yet, but if it gets close to making that type of play, I'm sure we'll see it.
First pitch on the way to Walsh, and it is crushed to left field and off the scoreboard.
Pitcher in this bullpen for the Eagles.
Well, it'll be Mia Williams at the plate. She's reached all 3 times, a hit by pitch, a walk, and a bunt single, and she's scored twice. First pitch is scalded, and it'll be a base hit for Williams. Her 2nd hit of the game. She reaches in all 4 plate appearances.
Tenari taking that one off the foot or the ankle, just completely unfazed, giving a thumbs up to Sam Lesky and the home plate umpire, having no problem just getting ready to step back onto the rubber here. Having a first pitch right back at her.
Ariel Kowalewski stepping up for the Gators. Pinch hitting here for Avery Gels, who was in the 9 spot in the lineup, came on as a defensive replacement as the wild pitch goes off the backstop and Williams takes 2nd.
Looks like another Texan in the lineup for the Gators and another freshman as well. Really not seeing much of her this season, but I feel like Tim Walton has a really big future plan for her as a Gator.
And the 1-0 pitch misses outside. It's 2-0 on Ariel. Tenari winds and deals and misses up high. It's 3-0. Kowalewski has started 24 games this year, hitting .299. Now coming off the bench as a pinch hitter with her team up by 9. That misses high, ball 4. And it's a walk to put 2 aboard now for the Gators.
And you know you're in a really dangerous position, especially for the freshman Tenari. You're down by 9, runners on first and second, 2 outs, and Kendra Falby and Skylar Wallace are the next 2 you're going to face. There's a lot of pressure on Tenari, trying to see if she can just work through it as a freshman, just get some groove going and get out of this inning.
It's 1-0 here on Falby, who's reached just once out of 4 trips to the plate. 1 for 4 with an RBI double her last time up. And the 1-0 from Tenari. Misses down low. It's 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch, and it is in there for a strike. It's 2-1 on Falby. And the Gators now with 9 runs on 9 hits is really up and down the lineup. A lot of damage done. All 9 starters have now reached base for Florida, most of which reaching base multiple times. Here's the 2-1. Outside, it's 3-1 on Falby. Marina Tenari looking for the final out here in the top of the 5th. Here's the 3-1 pitch. And it is just a little low. A walk to Falby she reaches for the second time. And that will load the bases again for Skylar Wallace. Back-to-back walks from Tenari. Wallace has reached all 4 times. A double her first time up, a grand slam after that, and then 2 walks.
There will be a pinch runner that comes in for Kendra Falby by the looks of it. Tim Walton holding it, showing his hands up. Yeah, it will be a pinch runner for Falby over at first. It's Bailey Goodard, the senior outfielder.
Yeah, so Coach Walton going back to the bench there with another pinch runner. So Wallace at the plate, the bases loaded, and a 9-run Gator lead here in the top of the 5th. First pitch to Wallace is in there for a called strike. It's 0-1 on the shortstop. And the 0-1 missing down low, 1-1 on Wallace. And the 1-1 offering is up high. It's 2-1 on Skylar. As Tenari is trying to just keep it at a 9-run deficit. Eagles will need at least 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th to keep this game going. Here's the 2-1 pitch. It's up high and 3-1 on Wallace. And the 3-1 is swung on and missed. A full count now for Wallace. Biggest pitch of the night for Tenari in the circle.
Tenari just no choice but to deliver this pitch. However it plays out, it plays out.
And the payoff on the way to Wallace, who hits it in the air to left field. Black is under it, and she makes the catch to retire the side. And for the first time this game, Skylar Wallace, all of them off the bench, and she'll be on to pinch hit against Ava Brown, who's looking to wrap this one up for the Gators, who are ahead by 9. And with a 0 or really anything less than 2, this ball game would be over. First pitch is in there for strike 1. Olivia Black was supposed to lead off this inning, and Feast pinch hitting in her spot.
Cameron Feast maybe only 1 for 10, but that one hit she does have was a triple for her first collegiate hit. Was able to do a great job there. Smoked it, just a line drive down the third base line.
Angelino and Shirella to follow. Although it looks like we may have another pinch hitter for the Eagles. Check swing. Did she go? And the first base umpire saying that there's a clock violation there on Ava Brown, so no pitch, and it's 1-2 with the automatic ball on Feast. Mackenzie Wittenberg is on to pinch hit for the Eagles in place of Maria Angelino.
Cameron Feast able to send that one a line drive down the first base line. Just trying to stay in this at bat, maybe draw a few more balls from Ava Brown. Just see what she can do here.
And time called by Feast.
You see a lot of maturity as a player in Feast, especially at the plate and around the bases. Smart base runner, smart hitter.
Well, she's down on strikes here, and that's the first strikeout for Ava Brown. That'll bring up Mackenzie Wittenberg, hitting .245 on the year. She's appeared in 27 games, making 13 starts.
Wittenberg, the junior, native of Fort Myers. We see her a lot over in right field when she is not playing as a designated hitter. But she's a very skilled outfielder and very powerful at the plate.
Yeah, the local product out of Fort Myers. Brown ahead 0-1 on Wittenberg. She winds and deals. This one is a swing and miss. It's 0-2. That one down and away. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Wittenberg. And the 1-2 from Brown, swing and a miss. Wittenberg down on strikes, back-to-back strikeouts for Ava Brown here in the 5th. And we'll have another pinch hitter here in place of Emily Shirella. The Gators, a 1.88 ERA in 9 appearances, 3 starts for Miller. And it's 0-1 on Estes.
Miller, another freshman pitcher, so...
This one in the air to right field, but it drifts foul. 0-2 on Estes.
Miller, another freshman in this lineup for the Gators. Coach Tim Wallen having a lot of faith in them. And 3 freshman pitchers in the circle here. They're going to be hopefully around with the Gators for a long time and able to help shape up this program and have a few years of a bit of a dynasty.
And the 0-2 is grounded up the middle, backhanded by the second baseman. The throw to first is in time. And the ball game is over as the Gators pick up a 9-0 win. UF improving to 26-4 on the season, while FGCU falls to 20-11. The Eagles now 14-9 here.
Yo, let's take a moment to appreciate the ones who heal us when we're not feeling great. They're the ones in white coats with stethoscopes, saving lives, giving hope, never losing scope. From the ER to the operating room, they battle illness, dispelling gloom. With steady hands and hearts of gold, they navigate the chaos, bold and cold. They're the healers, the guardians of health. In the face of adversity, they stand with stealth. With knowledge and skill, they fight the fight, keeping us strong in the darkest night. In the midst of pain, they bring relief with compassion and care beyond belief. They listen to our woes with empathy, prescribing remedies, setting us free. From pediatric wards to geriatric care, they show compassion, always there. With expertise and dedication, they strive to keep us healthy, to keep us alive. They're the healers, the guardians of health. In the face of adversity, they stand with stealth. With knowledge and skill, they fight the fight, keeping us strong in the darkest night. So here's to the doctors, the unsung heroes, whose hands hold lives like precious kilos. In the symphony of healing, they play a part, mending bodies and souls with love and art.